An interesting bit of technology in the Web3 space are called soul-bound tokens. They're sort of like combining digital ID with blockchain street cred. They're somewhat unusual and extremely intriguing. Today's guest, Calanthia Mei, is co-founder of Masa Finance and can clarify the details of the newest craze in the blockchain space. Calanthia, welcome to the Daily Drop.
Thank you so much for having me here, Bobby. I'm so glad to be on the show.
Well, look, I'm very intrigued by soul-bound tokens. I've been researching them for a while, but they're very hard to understand. But for our audience, let's start at the beginning. What are soul-bound tokens?
Absolutely. So simply put, soul-bound tokens are passports in Web3. Imagine it is your passport to the Web3 economy. If you have one takeaway, soul-bound token is like your passport. But technically speaking, what are soul-bound tokens? Many of us have heard of NFTs, and many of us have heard of tokens, but soul-bound tokens is a relatively new concept that was first evangelized by the Ethereum creator Vitalik in May last year in a paper titled Decentralized Society, Finding Web3 Soul. Simply put, soul-bound token is a non-transferable NFT that can represent a user's unique identity in the Web3 space.
Right. So it's kind of like digital ID, but your actual identity is not revealed. Is that correct?
It represents different attributes as part of your identity, right? If we deep dive, take one layer deeper than just your name, your date of birth, your mother's maiden name, your identity is a really interesting and multifaceted concept. It's part of your financial identity, meaning your creditworthiness. It is your KYC. It is your reputation score in your community, etc. So we think about identity in a more dynamic and very multifaceted fashion.
Right. But again, this is for our audience, just to clarify. But okay, but a soul-bound token, so even though it's presented, it's this passport, it's digital ID, it's like we're not going to know it's you, right? So it's like your soul-bound token isn't going to say like Calanthia Mei, right? It's like if you're a picture of a unicorn in all of your sort of Web3 activities, like they'll just know that unicorn has good credit and I don't know, has these NFTs in the wallet. Is that the idea?
Yes. So the idea of soul-bound token is really true and aligned with the Web3 ethos of you get to own your identity and you can select what kind of information you have out there. So if you want to maintain your pseudonymous identity on-chain, soul-bound tokens can help you achieve that.
Okay, so that's actually really important to know. So you, the user, control what people can know about your identity.
Exactly. And every time when a requester, let's say a project, a lender, a developer in Web3 wants to obtain a piece of information from you, let's say they want to know your credit score, you'll have to specifically permission for the project to access your information instead of having all of your information stored in a centralized repository and anyone will be able to access it. Again, that's the concept of users owning their own identity and information in Web3.
Look, that actually, in a couple segments, we're going to talk about potential fears that I have, but that's very helpful that you said that. Okay, well, how pervasive do you think soul-bound tokens will become?
Yeah, well, I'm very biased here because I am working on a project that is trying to take soul-bound tokens to the world. But in my biased view, in order for a real Web3 economy to flourish across multiple sectors, games, NFT, DAOs, DeFi, and many more, there needs to be an identity primitive and identity layer to a Web3 economy. And I do believe that soul-bound token is a technology that can become the identity primitive for a Web3 economy. Think about it. In the future, when the majority of users become Gen Z, Gen Alpha, or even later generations, they will become wallet native. What does that mean? Wallet as an idea will be very intuitive for the future generations of users, just like how Facebook and Instagram are really intuitive for the millennial generation. So for that generation, they would know that wallet is their identity and soul-bound token will be their passport. in order to travel around Web3 economy.
Look, it's a fascinating subject. We're going to get more into soul-bound tokens. We got Calanthia Mei here on the Daily Drop.